What's going on YouTube? My name is Anti-Problematic and today we are going to be talking about Raijin. Now before I get into this guide, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you would like to keep up with any future content, I'll be linking my Discord chat in the description below. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Raijin is that when it comes to competitive conquest, this character is usually a go-to. Most of the time people will be banning some top tiers like Persephone or even in some cases Hell, and Raijin has always been really strong no matter how much they nerf this character. And since I see a lot of people not really playing him to his full potential, I wanted to go ahead and make a guide on him. Now let's go ahead and go into his passive and his abilities. So for Raijin's first ability, we have Percussive Storm. This move is actually very simple. It'll shoot out 3 energy waves, and as each energy wave travels, it will actually grow wider in size. It's actually very simple. This is his main damaging tool. As you can see, it actually does go it actually goes fairly far, and this move is actually not that hard to hit. However, when you're playing this character, you want all 3 to hit. You can't just hit one and then not hit the others. Raijin's second ability has a lot of information, but it's actually fairly simple. Raijin's second ability is known as Raiju. What it'll do is that it'll mark an enemy on the map, whether it's a god or a minion, and it'll actually slow them by 15%. When you hit that same target again with any ability or basic attack, they will, Raiju will actually come out of that target and deal tick damage every 0.5 seconds for 2.5 seconds. Now this tick damage will jump to 5 other targets, including minions. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that for you. So you can see that the target is marked, and then when I hit them again, Raiju will actually jump out and start striking other gods. Very simple. It does apply, I believe I already mentioned that it applies a slow, but when Raiju comes out, it'll actually double the slow. So you go from a 15% slow to a 30% slow. Up next, we have Raijin's third ability, Thunder Crash. This is his run move and can actually be used very aggressively. So basically what it does is that Raijin will send a lightning bolt to a target location. It'll actually stun the person that's in the center of it, and then Raijin will teleport to that location, dealing damage to everybody in that area. So, as you saw, he got stunned, and he actually took 2 bits of damage. Very simple. Now, finally, we have Raijin's fourth ability, which is Taiko Drums. Now, Taiko Drums is unique. On the surface, Raijin will actually fly into the air and beat on his drums 4 times. And each of them will do damage. However, Raijin has 3 different options when he has his ult. The first one is just damage. You'll get 240 damage per hit. Now, the other 2 is where it gets a little weird. If you choose Beat 2, it'll actually taunt, and you'll only do 30% of the damage. If you don't know what a taunt is, basically it'll force whoever gets hit by it to run towards Raijin. Beat 3 is a fear. Now what fear does, it'll force the enemy to run away from Raijin. Now, both Beat 2 and Beat 3 will do 30% less damage. Or not 30% less damage, it'll only do 30% of the overall damage. So let me go ahead and show you. So, Beat 1, and that's it. Beat 2 will look like this. And finally, Beat 3 will look like this. So as you can see, he has a lot of utility with his ult. This ult can actually change team fights and can force people who are running away to start running back towards them, or force people to get off of you and fear them and have them under some heavy CC for your team. Either way, his ult is very, very useful. Now, Raijin's passive is probably one of the best passives for mages in the game. For every 5 abilities cast, Raijin reduced the cooldowns of all abilities currently on cooldown, including the one just cast, by 2 seconds. Additionally, Raijin's basic attacks have a wider radius. Now, the wider radius part for his basic attacks doesn't really matter. It's his... it's the first part of his passive is what really makes Raijin amazing. Now, how you can tell how many abilities you've casted is by paying attention to your drums. For every drum lit, that's how many abilities you used, and once all 4 are lit, the next ability cast will take away the glow on all your drums, and it'll make the cooldowns on your abilities go down by 2. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that for you now. As you can see, 2 of the drums are lit up. This does include your ult, by the way. So you can see all 4 of my drums are lit. So when I cast another ability, you can see in the bottom right hand corner my cooldowns were actually reduced by 2 seconds. This, paired with an item like Chronos Pendant, makes Raijin a heavily bursty mage at any point in the game. This character having that passive with all these cooldown items makes Raijin incredibly terrifying. Now, as far as Raijin's best items go, to me, he really only has 3 really strong items. For one, that's really obvious, is Chronos Pendant. Now, if you don't know what Chronos Pendant does, what it does is that every 10 seconds, it subtracts 1 second from all your abilities currently on cooldown. This will go hand in hand with this passive very, very well. This makes it to where Raijin will always have an ability up, he'll always have DPS out, and the fact that it still gives 100 power is basically unbeatable. I recommend building this item on any mage. Up next, we have Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is always a really good item on burst mages. This will actually make him deal health damage, and on top of the fact it already gives 10 pen and 110 power, there's no reason not to build this on him either. Now, the final item that I would always recommend building on Raijin is Spear of the Magus. Now, if you don't know what Spear of the Magus does, first of all, it gives 75 power and 10 magic pen, and subsequent hits from the same ability will deal 6% increased damage. This, along with since his first ability hits multiple times, and his second ability hits multiple times, and his ult hits multiple times, you will take so many protections away from your target with just the second ability alone. And on top of and since this character already hits belligerently hard, anything that gives him more damage is a must. Now, outside of these 3 items, that is completely up to you. If you're looking for a little bit more survivability, I would recommend Bancroft's Talon or even a Soul Gem, since his cooldowns are very low. I'd also recommend a Spirit Desolation, though you don't really need it, just because you're already having abilities take away cooldowns, or items take away cooldowns, so you don't necessarily need this item. Obviously, Divine Ruin is a really strong card on him since he hits so much. He'll always be able to have an anti-heal out. And finally, if you just don't like people, or you don't like people getting away from you, I'd always recommend building Gem of Isolation. Now, Gem of Isolation did see a nerf a couple months ago, but it's still a very frustrating card to deal with on characters who have abilities that hit multiple times. Now, as far as Raijin's game plan, very simple. All you want to do is that you always want to mark somebody. It doesn't have to be the person you're targeting, considering the fact, because remember, Raiju will hit 5 people that are close by to the target that you hit. You just have to be sure that whoever you mark, you have to hit them. So what you want to do is that you want to hit them with your second ability, and then hit them with your first ability as often as possible. Let me go ahead and demonstrate this for you now. And that's it. It's that simple. That's really it. All you have to do is just hit them with your second ability and your first ability, and you profit. You can get a little crazy if you want to. If you feel like you can be safe, you can just hit them with the second ability, go into teleport, and then just hit them with your first ability. Doing this will almost always guarantee that you hit all 3 shots of your first ability. However, this does put you at some pretty heavy risk, considering the fact that you just use your runaway move. So use that combo at your discretion, but most of the time what you're going to be doing is just this. That's all you're really going to be doing most of the time. Now, like I said earlier with this ult, when you're getting pressured and you want to get people off you, use the third beat. Remember, that has a fear. So when you're getting pressured and you want them off of you, just ult and just press 3. And that's it. And you'll put a lot of distance between you and that person, giving you time to set up for your second and first ability, or even your run move, as a matter of fact. If you're trying to help your team in team fights and keep people in and keep people from running away, use the second beat. Remember, the second beat has a taunt, so that'll force them to run back towards you. Now, as far as the landing phase goes, and when you're starting at level 1, Mage's Blessing into Chronos Pendant is the way I like to go. It'll give you that early game power. It'll give you the cooldowns that you need that you can use to keep oppressing your lane. And you always want to go your first ability, period. No other ability will help you clear faster than your first ability will. Now, as far as boots go, after you get Chronos Pendant, that's completely up to you. If you have a lot of lane pressure, you're keeping the person back in their tower, or you have them severely out-leveled by the time you can get boots, go Shoes of the Mad Guy. Shoes of the Mad Guy will give you 75 power, 100 mana, and 8% lifesteal. For obvious reasons, this is a very good choice, just because if you have that lane pressure, you have that level advantage, having that little bit of extra power can go a long way. Now, if you're stalemated or you're losing a little bit, I'll go Shoes of Focus. It'll give you the extra cooldowns. It'll give you a little bit less magic, but it'll give you more, or magical power, but it'll give you a little bit more mana. And there's nothing, like I said, it's completely up to you. For the next ability that you want to get, once you hit level 2, again, it's up to you. If you have the lane pressure and you feel like you can play safe without having to get your run move, get your second ability. If not, go your third ability. As far as leveling order, you want to put as many points into your first ability as possible. Next, you want to put points into your second ability. What I like to do, I like to get my first ability to level 3, then get my second ability to level 3, and then dump everything else into my first ability. You don't really need to level up your run move. It doesn't affect the cooldowns. It only affects the damage it does, but honestly, you're not really going to be using your run move to engage unless you have the enemy on the run. And even then, that's a very risky move to do. Overall, Raijin is a very, very oppressive character. This character is strong early, this character is strong mid, and this character is strong late. This character can't really be nerfed into the ground. This character will always be good just because of his passive and how hard his first and second abilities will hit. And he's a definite go-to when the other top tiers for mid are taken away, i.e. Merlin and Persephone, if they get banned. If you're looking for a character that can just control the game forever, Raijin is a definite go-to. It will take a little bit of time to get used to aiming Raiju, but other than that, this character is really ridiculous. There's really no other way to put it. He's simple, he's easy, he hits like a Mack truck, he'll one-shot a lot of people, he can shred tanks just because, just when he puts Spirit of Magus on. This character is absolutely ridiculous, and I definitely recommend learning this character. Now, if you have any other questions, whether it's about this character or any of my other guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep up with any future content, I'll be linking my Discord chat in the description below. Now, without further ado, stay safe and have a good time.